This is a normal Glock 17 with a Glock switch and a 50-round magazine taken from the same suspect.
The semi-automatic pistol confiscated by the Los Angeles Police Department performs like a machine gun, spewing out bullets non-stop. It has a conversion device about the size of a coin, which was installed illegally. Possession of these so-called switches can land someone in jail for a decade. Police say criminals are constantly finding new ways to get them.
A couple of years ago, a lot of them, the vast majority of them were coming over from China. And now I've seen during this year, I saw at least 2 handguns recovered in high crime areas that were 3D printed.
A lot of these Glock switches are being bought also online. We don't know how many there are. All we know is that more rounds are being fired at shootings. We used to see 3 or 4 rounds, and now we're seeing 30 or 40 rounds.
The switches are popular on Glock brand handguns, but are not manufactured by the company. In the U.S. Capitol alone, authorities recovered 114 switches this year, nearly double all of 2021. How many are seized nationally? We couldn't find out because the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, which keeps the stats, declined our repeated requests for an interview. But a company called ShotSpotter has found a way to estimate the impact. The firm specializes in detecting gunshots by sound and caters to police agencies.
Between 2019 and 2021, we saw an increase from about 400 incidents to about 5,600 incidents involving full automatic gunfire, about a 14-fold increase.
The incidents have been deadly. Switches have figured in mass shootings this year. Back in May, 2 people were killed and 7 wounded outside a McDonald's in Chicago. A month earlier in Sacramento, a young woman celebrating her 21st birthday was among 6 people killed in a mass shooting. At least one of the guns recovered from the scene had been modified with a switch. In July, a group of Democratic senators introduced a bill to, quote, improve the capacity of federal law enforcement agencies to detect, intercept, and seize firearm modification devices. But Luis Valdez, a spokesman for Gun Owners of America, says criminals will keep finding ways to break gun laws, no matter how strict, until they are held accountable.
You have to have strict enforcement. Some of the most violent, hardened criminals get slaps on the wrist and they're out in a very short period of time.
Prosecutors in Pennsylvania have turned to regional cooperation as a solution. They recently dismantled a firearms trafficking ring led by a 20-year-old who was selling switches, despite being too young to legally buy a handgun in the state.
When we prosecute, there are serious ramifications and seriously long sentences that are being given by our judges, sometimes in the double digits. And we hope by getting that message out that it's going to deter other people from going down this track.
But deterrence can only go so far, and America needs a fuller picture of the factors at play, says Steve Lindley with Brady United Against Gun Violence.
We're looking at a lot more funding going into universities and private research organizations to look at the social issues behind our violence and the use of firearms in our society.
Lindley said his nonprofit will continue working with congressional leaders towards laws that will keep guns away from people with a propensity for violence. Veronica Balderas Iglesias for VOA News, Washington.